All right, back in the kitchen for episode 3. I'm going to title this one, The Journey is the Reward. So, the journey is the reward is a line that stuck with me for a while. It was actually written on the back of my brother's high school football team's t shirt. And I would read it and think about it, but it never quite clicked. And today I was listening to the Mixed Mental Arts podcast with Brian Callen and Hunter Motz. And they had this author, Ted Slingerland, on. And he researches ancient Chinese philosophies. And one they were talking about is Confucius and this obsession with the way. And the obsession with the way is very related to the journey is the reward. And that's what really made it click. And this is something that is actually, I feel, something I'm going to focus on more and continue to have this be a lens that I'll look through things, and I think it'll be beneficial. So that's why I'm trying to bring this on for all you guys. So there's a paradox that arises because if you aim for that goal, you've already missed it, right? And this paradox, you can kind of see this tension play out in, for instance, let's say golf. And a golfer is on the 17th hole, and they've been playing brilliantly. They're in line for the championship, and all of a sudden they hit into the sand trap or they hit out of bounds. And you're like, what was going on there? And probably what was going on is they were focused on those external factors, the championship, and not being consumed in the moment. And they let the moment kind of get the best of them. They let that outcome get the best of them. They weren't being just obsessed and consumed with their craft. And those same tensions we can see arise in everyday life. Be it like at work and we're trying to go for a creative breakthrough. We just want that answer, but it's not getting there. Or all we want to do is get a date, and everyone's kind of probably thought about this, is like the moments when you don't want to date somebody is where you end up finding that significant other. I'm not saying that's all the time, but that's probably a lot of people can relate to that. And so if wanting to win, or setting that and having that goal, if that's not the way to do it, there is, how do we ultimately win in a way? Is that if you do have a goal, if you do want to get somewhere, you have to become obsessed and fall in love with that process. So the process is the only thing that we can control. So for instance, as I'm making this video, I loved listening to the podcast that inspired it. I loved writing a little paragraph beforehand. And if you see me going like this with my eyes, I'm looking at what I've been writing. I hope that's not too annoying. Trying to keep good eye contact. And I love creating content. Now, if I was doing this to become Insta-famous, and if I was doing this to be, the famous trainer to the stars, or if I was doing this because, I wanted all those likes, then, hell, that stuff will never happen, because, people will know that and feel that. So what I can control, which is whether or not I love something. And then if I, put myself into that and are pursuing that truth, and that, there's this faith that it will work out. But, even if it doesn't work out, at least, I was doing something that I love. And another podcast that reminded me of this is Aubrey Marcus's podcast, which I mentioned yesterday. And he talks about having this pressure put on himself, the idea that he had all these talents. Now, what do I do with these talents? And I think that's something a lot of people can relate to, especially millennials, with the idea that they've been told how great they are from an early age. And I hate to put people into a box and label them millennials, but there's definitely some truth to this fact. I'm a millennial, and I've definitely felt the idea that you're destined for greatness in a way. But if you're really focused on that outcome, right, then you're never gonna get there. So you have to, Aubrey Marcus was saying, rather than focus on what to do, he focused on himself and being a genuinely great person, and genuinely great person do great shit. And that's kind of the same idea, is that you're rather than being obsessed with the outcome, being consumed with the process. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish here, and that's what I'm trying to strive for every day. And it's really, really hard because my brain is definitely wired for those external rewards. You know, like I'm sure, you know, once I post this, I'll be checking for likes, I'll be checking for comments, and it's a very difficult thing to want to try and turn off. But if you know, are able to, you know, compartmentalize that, that's a tongue twister, and really just become consumed with the process, then, you know, once again, you'll have that faith that everything will work out, you know, and that's the fun part. So, you know, fall in love with the process, and the journey is the reward. Hope you got something from this, and till next time.